You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
My name is Peter Basserman, Chairman of Branford's Inland Wetlands Commission. I would call the special meeting of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency to order. It is now 7:01. Let's see, all commissioners that are present are seated and can participate. The meeting is being held in accordance with Executive Order 7B, Part 1. And I think we've been through this routine before in terms of the muting if you're not speaking, which would help with the background noise. I'm going to take a roll call at this point in time. Commissioner Boda? Commissioner Boda, I see you. You're muted.
Muted. Here she is.
There you are. Okay. Commissioner Begerman?
Commissioner Begerman here.
Commissioner Rose?
Here.
Commissioner Grinalsh?
Here.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Commissioner Sullivan here.
Let's see. In staff, we have Jamie Frederick.
Here.
And Abby York.
Wait, sorry.
Here.
Okay. Did I get everybody? All right. We have one item on the agenda tonight. The agenda was posted on the website. It is the only item on the agenda. It's a special meeting, so the agenda cannot change. We have an enforcement action, cease and correct 110801, 54 and 60 North Main Street, storage of fill piles, within 100 feet of an inland wetland and watercourse. No other business will be conducted this evening. This was also put in the Dropbox for the commissioners, as well as a summary of the activity associated with this property going back to 2011. And I must commend staff for pulling together, obviously, these notes. Took a little bit of research. And Jamie, maybe it would be prudent at this point in time just to hit the highlights on this 1.5 pages of preparatory notes.
Jamie Frederick, Inland Wetland Agent. Let me pull it up on the screen share so that everyone can see it. All right, so back in 2011 is, well, I think prior to that, I think around 2010, that this was a notice of violation, and in 2011, it escalated to a cease and correct order, which was issued August 1st, 2011. The commission discussed it at their August 11th meeting and determined that erosion controls must be installed. The wall should be extended as needed to provide protection to the wetland. There was also an inland wetland application that the commission was reviewing regarding the expansion of the stockpiling, which the commission determined the agent could approve provided that a satisfactory plan was submitted. And the commission determined that the cease and correct was to remain in place until the order had been complied with. I believe that there was some issues with getting some zoning approval for keeping the stockpiling. So it took a little bit of time. In November 30th, the cease and correct order was filed on the land records. At the December 8th meeting, the commission had it on their agenda again. The permit was withdrawn due to planning and zoning approval issues. Erosion controls were to be inspected, installed / maintained. And there was a general consensus to allow the stockpiles to remain until August 2012, with the agent to inspect the site to ensure erosion controls were installed and maintained. Follow-up letter was sent, and then I didn't find any record of this being on any of the meeting, a topic at any of the meetings from the minutes from 2012 or 2013. But there was some follow-up correspondence issued throughout 2012 by the inland wetland agent, reminding that the stockpiles needed to be removed by August and that erosion controls needed to be installed. One thing I did note while I was reading through those letters is the February 1st, 2012 letter. In part, it stated stockpiles need to be removed a minimum 10 feet from the edge of stream behind your property, restoring the grade back down to its original natural elevation and the area replanted with native vegetation. Proper erosion and sediment controls also need to be installed. I didn't see any record, and I listened to the meeting recordings from the 2 meetings where it was discussed by the commission. I didn't hear any discussion regarding vegetation, and none of the subsequent letters discuss replanting with native vegetation. So I think that that's just something that the commission should address to make sure everything is being addressed. And then the follow-up letters, by and large, from there talk about removing the stockpiles and removing trash and debris that had been on site. And the last letter in the file was issued November 28th, 2012. It stated that it would be on the January meeting agenda for 2013. However, I didn't see it listed there or anywhere else in the year 2013. There were a couple photos in our files from taken off site of the site between 2013 and 2016, but I didn't see that any letters had been sent. I also didn't see any saved emails or other sort of correspondence. And then in December 2008, the owner submitted a request that the cease and correct order be lifted because there's a pending sale for the property. On December 9th, I went out and inspected, took some pictures, brought it to the commission for the December 10th meeting. And we scheduled a special meeting to discuss. Unfortunately, it snowed, so it was very difficult to complete a thorough site investigation. However, the owner has submitted a couple pictures of the process he went through, and I have a couple of pictures from when I went out to the site yesterday that the commission can look at. There was certainly progress made in removing trash and debris that was on site. The asphalt pile has by and large been removed, and there's a photo showing it in a dumpster. However, there's certainly still some remnants of it left behind in the snow. The exact extent's kind of hard to tell because of the snow. I also didn't fully explore the western side of the site. I think part of the area that had historically been disturbed is grown back in with some vegetation. So I didn't see any debris or trash over there, but I have to admit, I didn't go beyond the limit of what was still the cleared area to investigate that area. And I tried to a little bit yesterday. However, with the snow, I couldn't see anything. So there could be stuff underneath the snow. At this time, do any of the commissioners have any questions prior to moving on to the photos?
Peter Bassman, Jamie, could you put up the site plan, and if you have one, and just indicate the area that you were just talking about on the western side?
Jamie Frederick, in the Wetland agent. I do not have a site plan per se. What I can do is I don't think I have a GIS map either, but I can pull it up in the GIS for you guys to look at and then add a GIS map to the file. This is 60 North Main Street. So 60 North Main Street was grandfathered for stockpiling, contractor's yard type use. It was kind of a pre-existing thing that existed. And then the issue was that the activity expanded onto 54 North Main Street. So this is of 60 and the area that we're talking about is to the west. And I can kind of point that out in the photos as well. So do we want to start with the photos, and then if the commissioners want to see a GIS map, we can move to that?
Peter Basserman. Yeah, I guess it would be, I think, helpful when you do the photos to then link back at the end, if there is some GIS map or whatever, just talk about where the areas, where the millings still remain, and maybe where some of the other piles that you noticed on your last inspection, where they're located.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Rose. I apologize if I missed something, but is the so-called original property line relevant here, or is the whole site out to the hard line property boundaries the subject?
Technically, it's Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Technically, the cease and correct order is for 54 North Main Street, so it would be for the property that is not shown on this map.
Can you say that again, Jamie?
Technically, the violation is for 54 North Main Street, which is this property over here. This is 60 North Main Street. So I do not have a map of 54 North Main Street. I can stop my screen share real quick and get one, or I can show you the pictures, and then while the commission kind of discusses, I can then pull up a map.
Commissioner Basserman, I think the latter would be preferred. Makes best use of the time.
Okay, so Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, these are the photos that I received from the property owner. So there were some concrete chunks and blocks that needed to be removed off site. So these are photos he submitted to document that had occurred. As you can tell, the site is covered in snow. There's a pile of material that they were working on removing.
Jamie, this is Commissioner Rose. So that photo right there, if you could go back up, are we looking, can you relate this to the property we're looking at on the map we were just looking at?
Sure, Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So this is looking west of the property we're looking at the map. So the building that was on that property would be to the right.
Actually, the building would be behind you.
Right,
Okay. That's number
behind
54.
you / to the right.
Right.
And
No, it wouldn't be behind. It wouldn't be to the right at all. It'd be directly behind you.
Is this image showing us the property on that site plan, or the other property, as you noted, Jamie, that was the subject of the LV?
The other property, I believe. I do not know exactly where the property markers are. Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, I'm going to stop and pull up the GIS real quick, because I think that's really going to help with this discussion. And I'm sorry that I did not have that prepared in advance. While I'm trying to pull that up, I don't know if the commission wants to open up the floor to the property owner to relay any commentary on the progress he's made.
Just Commissioner Basserman, what was in the last photo you had, what was the pile of material that you showed in that photo? Was it soil, or was it mixed debris, or what?
That was a pile of some concrete chunks, some pieces of sidewalk, and about a quarter of a ton of asphalt that somebody had dumped off there. They had done a job. That was evidently what was left on the job. And it was a drive-by dump off. And so I picked it all up and I put it on the dump truck and got it out of there.
So just for the record, that pile that we looked at in the last photo is no longer there?
Correct.
Thank you. So maybe as Jamie is looking to put up the GIS map, we can turn it over to you, Mr. Brazil, and you can say what was done between the last meeting and now.
Well, I cleaned up everything. I got a dumpster there, and somebody had dumped some pallets, a mattress, tires, those little squatty racing tires, I guess. And I picked them all up. The bigger tires I put in our tire shed that was there, and the smaller tires that would fit in the dumpster I put in there. But the truck tires, I have a guy that recovers them, so he's going to come and get them. They're up above under a shed, and I put all the pallets and random wood and that they dumped that was laying in front of the retaining wall in the back. I crushed it up and put it in the dumpster. I filled the dumpster all the way up, and I picked all the items that were on the retaining wall off. There was some concrete blocks, and the only thing, there's about 10 bricks that are left there. I didn't know where they were, so I didn't want to start like trying to scratch the surface of the wall. So I just, that's something I could grab by hand. It's like 10 bricks. As soon as the snow melts, I'll get them out of there. So there is no stockpile. The stockpile, like I said, the stockpile is totally gone. And, I cleaned everything up. It was a whole day's work. Actually, it was a couple of days. But it's tough because it's an abandoned site and people drive by and, they dump things off.
Okay. One of the things, this is Commissioner Bassman, one of the things that was noted on the 1221 inspection was some asphalt certainly had been removed, but some remains of where the pile was. Anything more to be done in that area? I dug up the big pile and put it on there. It was about 1.5 tons. Maybe that's something that broke off that I didn't see. But if it is, it can't be much more than a shovel or two more, because it was hardened up. It came up in one big heap. I had to break it in half. It was too heavy to pick up with the machine in one shot. So I broke it in half, and maybe a chunk broke, a small chunk. I'm pretty sure I got it all, though. I thought I got it all. I'll check it out. The snow melts. I had it all piled. I did this all before the snow came, so I'm pretty sure I got it all. Anything else, sir?
I just want to, this, in 2013 or 2012, Diana Ross came out and she said that we had got the stockpile down to where it should be. And she was going to lift the cease and desist order. And I never even knew this was on. This was news to me. The buyer's lawyer sent me a letter saying that the Inland Wetlands Commission had sent him a letter. And you could have knocked me over with a feather when that happened. I've got a fellow who wants to develop this and really make something good out of it. And I'm hoping that we can move on.
Here's Commissioner Bassman, and I'm sure the new buyer, wants a clean site when he inherits it. So hopefully we're headed in the same direction.
Yeah, well, we are in constant contact, and we have agreed to that when he in his plan, I think he's planning on taking that building down. And so any remnants of anything in the building, like the tires in the shed, we have a guy that recovers those. You can't put those in a regular dumpster. They're
understand. Understand. Okay, Jamie, you've got the plan up. Maybe you could address Commissioner Rose's comments now that we have a map.
Jamie Frederick, and the wetland agent. So the site plan we were looking at was for 60 North Main Street. Across the street here, this is the fire station headquarters. And that pile of debris that the owner had taken a picture of prior to removing it from the site was located somewhere in this greater area right here.
And Commissioner Bassman, Jamie, where's the wetland?
The wetland is located essentially right behind this, the wall that's located right around here. As part of the purchasing process, or the wetlands have been flagged recently, so there are wetland flags out there. And with the snow, you can see those flags a little bit better than you could in my photos for the last meeting. So I'll jump back to the photos that the applicant took, and then I took some photos afterwards that shows a little bit more of the progress that was made from when he sent those photos to yesterday. And if at any point the commission wants to know where a picture is, let me know. So, this is all that material loaded up, or at least some of it. This is a close-up of that material. So you guys were asking previously what the material was. It looks like it's maybe some concrete and asphalt. All right. And then yesterday I met out on site with the property owner and took some more pictures. You can see that the dumpster has been relocated over here, and you can tell that it's pretty full. All the tires have been relocated over here, as he was saying, into this storage area. There's the close up of the dumpster. This is the area where that pile was. This area, the wall's open. I'm not sure if that's something, I mean, I don't really foresee it being an issue. The wall was there to contain the stockpiles. It certainly is also a preventative barrier for dumping, but I don't know that that's a violation issue. This area had a lot of tires previously. I didn't see any over there on this inspection. The only thing I really noticed was this, which the owner said was already there when he purchased the property. He tried to pull it out with his equipment, but it was pulling his equipment off the ground. So he left it. There was a tire there that was removed. This is what I was talking about when I said there's remnants of the pile remaining. So it's not like a pile, but there certainly is evidence that there was a pile there.
Commissioner Bassman, how close is that to the wetland?
This is pretty close to where the wall is. So this is a wetland flag right here. And I'm not honestly sure what distance that would be.
35, 40 feet, I would think, back towards us.
I did notice that there is still one tire and one bucket in the wetland. I think that's something we could work with the property owner on if the commission's comfortable with lifting the order. You can see another wetland flag here, and this is the wall. And that's the bucket. So this is what remains. Some of this remains from the stockpiling. It's all from my previous inspection. You can see it's all vegetated. It's stabilized. I don't know if the commission is satisfied with the level of removal or if that is something they're concerned with. And then, so this area here looks like it was kind of a pile, and that had some material removed from it, but it hasn't been fully removed, but it's vegetated, it's stable. This does get close to the wetland. The wetland wraps up towards the street over here. I did not inspect past this point prior to the snow. So that's the area I was talking about that I'm not really sure what it looks like.
Commissioner Bassman, are there erosion controls between that pile and the wetland?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, there are not. Let me jump back to the photos I took the other day. as you can see, it's vegetated completely. That this is some of the debris that was on site that's been removed. So again, this is looking at that pile, which is part of why I didn't go in, because, you know, it was the limit of what appeared to be the area of disturbance. So how much of that has grown in since the original violation was issued, I'm not really sure. But I didn't really notice any material over here, any trash. And so I think, yeah, this is what remains.
Hi, it's John Brazil here. I kind of left that berm there so that people couldn't back in there and hide from the, you know, from the road and dump anything. So that's just a little berm kind of thing. And it grew in. I mean, this is, so I just wanted to make that clear. Thanks.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. This is the material that was piled up. And I did not inspect it until after it snowed. So the property owner did submit some pictures documenting the material removal. But again, I didn't see much evidence of anything remaining, but there was snow on the site. Mattress is gone. These are the bricks that the owner was saying he hasn't removed yet. This is the asphalt that is in question whether or not it was fully removed. Here's a wetland flag regarding proximity to the wetland. So I would say it probably is closer than 30 feet, but probably closer to like 15 or so. But as you can see here, it wasn't a lot of material. And
Jamie, this is Commissioner Rose. Am I looking at dead center? No, go back to the previous photo, that photograph. In dead center in the middle of the photograph, is that an ABS pipe that drains directly into the wetland?
it does look like a pipe that drains into the wetland. Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Yes. It doesn't drain directly into the wetland. It goes underneath the wall. So it drains directly towards the wetland. I don't think I took a picture of it on the other side.
Commissioner Bassman, is that it for the photos, Danny?
I'll just scroll real quick through the last ones of what was the existing condition beforehand. So you can see that a lot of this
is gone.
Has been removed. You can tell even with the snow. There certainly has been progress made.
Jamie, I actually sent you a picture before it snowed of that area cleaned up, I think. I don't know if you got it.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Yes, I don't think I showed these pictures, which also came in. So these were also submitted between the last meeting and this meeting, where you can see removal of those tires and other trash.
Thanks.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So I think the commission needs to consider whether they're satisfied with the condition of the site. I know that we have a high likelihood of getting an inland wetland application in, but the commission needs to consider this separately from that and judge whether they're satisfied with that the terms of the cease and correct order have been complied with. And if you want, I can show the cease and correct order while you guys discuss your thoughts.
Commissioner Bassman, you also indicated, I think at the beginning of the meeting, that there was an issue about whether plantings that were in letters, we need to address that as a commission as to whether that was still something we wanted to see or not. Is that a good sign?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So the agent at the time submitted or sent a letter on February 1st, 2012 that mentioned, in my interpretation, it says, it says stockpiles need to be removed a minimum of 10 feet from the edge of the stream behind your property, restoring the grade down to its original natural elevation in the area replanted with vegetation. So it sounds like within 10 feet of the water course, she was looking for native vegetation to be planted. That was not brought to the commission. It was not part of the original order, and it was not mentioned in any of the 5 follow-up letters that were submitted. So I guess the commission should clarify whether that's a requirement or if.
Amy, this is Commissioner Rose. Can you explain where that work would have occurred relative to the wetland and the property in the upland?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So stockpiles need to be removed a minimum of 10 feet from edge of stream behind your property. The stream is a couple of feet beyond the retaining wall, as you can see in some of the pictures. So honestly, I'm not entirely sure what it means. I don't know if she was looking for establishment of vegetation up to the retaining wall, or if she was looking for establishment of vegetation beyond that wall. And like I said, it wasn't mentioned in any of the subsequent letters, and there was no clarity provided, and I didn't see any additional notes on that. So if it is a requirement, I certainly think it's something the commission would need to provide guidance on, and clarity.
This is Commissioner Rose again. I see 2 properties, 54 and 60. You made a comment earlier that the original NOV related to a particular property and not the other. Can you clarify?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. The cease and correct order is issued for 54 North Main Street. So that's the southern portion of the site. The material that the owner said he left as a berm to stop vehicles from coming in is approximately this area right here. And then the area where the portion of the wall is missing is over here. And the asphalt millings or asphalt material is somewhere in this greater area here.
Maybe this is Commissioner Basserman. The other comment on February 1st of 2012 was a regrading. Would you affirm the fact that regrading needs to occur, or are we okay with the grade in that area where they were talking about the vegetation?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I don't know again exactly what that was looking for. I don't know what. I haven't done a deep dive into what the pre-existing grade was.
Commissioner Basserman, I guess my issue is that almost 10 years past 2012 February 1st date. If the grade is not harmful to the wetland at this point in time, I guess that's what I'm looking for. Did you see any evidence that because of grading that exists now, that the wetland is in danger and therefore grade needs to be adjusted?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So I think there's 2 points that I want to hit on. One is that the commission was entertaining granting approval for stockpiling in at least a portion of this area. I'm not sure exactly the extent. There was never a final site plan submitted because of the zoning issues. So I think there's that to keep in mind. So the order was that the stockpiles need to be removed. The order didn't mention anything about grading or restoring. That's not to say. And then based on the wetland flags I saw, everything out there is stable right now. So in that sense, I think that's good. If you go in there and remove a pile of material. Obviously, you're not going to be able to vegetate it until the spring. I don't know if the wetland delineation that was completed was impacted at all by any of the activity that occurred. I did not fully investigate this further western portion prior to the snow. So again, I guess that would be the one area I'd be not willing to speak to because I did not observe it.
This is Commissioner Begemon. If there isn't any record of whether grading was done or not, and there was no follow-up inspections about grading, and the same with planting, if there's nothing in the town records of whether planting occurred or didn't occur, and 8 years have gone by, which would be past like what I've seen so far, about like 5 years of looking at plants to see if they take hold. It just seems like it's hard to discuss if there's no record whether it was done or not done. And I don't see how we could, say that something has to be done now if we don't have record of whether it was done or not done.
Yeah, Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So the last letter that, or towards the end of this process, there was a lot of focus on the fact that most of the material had been removed from site. I guess there was a large pile of stone that had been brought on site that exceeded the area it could be within, and that was one of the outstanding issues. But from some of the notes that I saw, it seemed to my understanding that the agent would be satisfied if that material was removed or restricted to the areas that had previously been approved. So I think the focus was on removing the material and trash.
Commissioner Bassman. So given that, the only thing that looks like it potentially still needs to be done is the clearing up of the remaining asphalt that near the pipe that Commissioner Rose identified. Other than that, it looks like all the material has been removed. Am I right on that?
If there is asphalt there, it can't be much more than a couple of shovelfuls. I'm sorry,
Well,
which I'd be glad to get.
as long as it's clear, then we're in agreement.
This Commissioner Rose. So we have an interesting issue here. We want to help make this transaction occur, which is the motivation for why we had a special meeting rather than putting this off for a month. And I would argue that whatever the stockpiles are or on, whatever the debris is that's on the property outside the wetland, but in the upland is or isn't, in a certain sense doesn't matter because whoever buys this property is going to be before us with whatever their plans are. And so it's kind of nitpicking, especially when you consider 8 years of elapsed time here, nitpicking about what is or isn't, what was meant or not meant, what was or wasn't done as to the property on the, I'll say, the North Main Street side of the Mafia block wall. What concerns me, excuse me, I say this in the interest of the property owner, seller, and the incoming property buyer, that whatever is over the other side of that Mafia block wall is of extreme importance to everybody here. Because if we're going to not have a clear view of what's on the wetland side of the Mafia block wall, we're not going to have a clear understanding of whether everything has been removed and the area is relatively clean. Then consider what happens when when the transaction goes through, the property is conveyed, and we show up the day after the property conveyance occurs, and we find a mess that we claim needs to be addressed, and the property buyer says, screw you, I didn't do it, and you guys didn't act on it, so screw you. And I think that while it's unfortunate we've had a snowstorm, on the other hand, we've got a storm coming that is going to have a lot of rain and warm temperatures, and by all reports is going to eliminate all the snow that's out there. That our real focus needs to be the condition on the wetland side of the Mafia Block wall to be comfortable as a wetland agency that what was there is gone, that it's clean of debris, and that there isn't anything that if we walked on the property the day after this property was sold, we wouldn't hit the new owner with a notice of violation for debris that they would then claim they didn't put there. And so we're in, I think, a bit of a catch-22. We're trying to help, but at the same time, there better not be anything on the other side of that Mafia Block wall we're going to have a problem with the day after the property is sold. Because we set a horrible precedent, and we set ourselves up for an argument over somebody whose natural defense is going to be, I didn't do it, and you guys didn't enforce it, so why is it my problem? So we need to be diligent, and I think we need to expect that the snow's going to go away in the next day or two, and we look very carefully at the wetland side of the Mafia Block wall, and we become satisfied as a commission that everything that should be done on the other side of the wall has been done, and that there won't be something back there that the next property owner is going to be held liable for because we discovered it the day after they bought the property. All of which I say in support of the transaction that the seller is trying to accomplish here. If we clear the record and we make the record clear as to what was expected and what was accomplished, then the buyer can have confidence that they can go ahead with the transaction and not regret it or be fearful of it. But if we don't cross that T and dot that I, we don't have the ability to make that representation, and the buyer's going to be sitting there wondering what other shoe might drop, and the whole transaction is under.
Commissioner Bassman, I don't necessarily disagree at the 10,000 foot level with what you're saying, Commissioner Rose. The question, I guess, is how do we execute the time frame associated with the snow being gone, some kind of inspection to determine that the wetlands are not in jeopardy now or in the future, and are we waiting until the next meeting to do that? What is your take on what we should be focusing on timing?
So obviously timing is of the essence, and our vision being obscured by snow is problematic. And there is in fact a pending storm coming that I've heard represented by weather people on the news, that it's going to melt everything that's out there. I don't think we need to be concerned about conditions on the property that is on the North Main Street side of what I refer to as the Mafia Block wall, because the applicant or the new owner is going to be before us with whatever their intentions are, and whatever's there or not there, it's going to get addressed in a future permit application. So I don't see any harm in looking at that side of the Mafia Block wall and saying it's good enough. It's natural materials, it's concrete, it's millings, it's brick. To be blunt, who cares? If you can put it in a dumpster and make your property look more palatable, so it doesn't look like it's been used as a dump, it's probably good for you. But I don't think the commission needs to worry about it, because the applicant or the buyer is going to be before us again in the near future, because they're not going to be able to do anything without coming before us. But in the interest of time, we should expect that the obstruction created by the snow be gone, and that staff be enabled to look closely and carefully at the wetland side of the Mafia Block wall and not see any debris of any kind that was put there by whoever, whenever, so that when we're done and staff has has inspected and photographed and seen that there's nothing there that is, it would be otherwise improperly there, is gone. And that when that transaction closes, we're comfortable that the wetland side of the Mafia block wall was clean. The buyer is confident that they're buying it clean, and the seller is confident that it's all, the transaction is not going to be in jeopardy, and people aren't going to regret what they did. So I think it's all about what's on the other side of the Mafia block wall.
This is Commissioner Bagman. What is staff's schedule in the next few days, Jamie? Because if the commission decides that we're comfortable with, for instance, lifting the cease and order, depending on the agent being able to get out there without snow and observe that the stuff is really gone, then we need to know when Jamie is working so that after the snow melts, she actually could be out there.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I'm in the office through noon on Thursday. Town hall closes second half of Thursday and Friday. And then I'll be off the following week. I will be back in the office January 4th, which is the Monday after the new year.
This is unbelievable.
That being said, Abby will be in the office Monday through the first half of Thursday. Again, town hall closes Thursday afternoon and Friday. So I would, if Abby is comfortable going out and inspecting in case there's snow again before I could go out and inspect, or in case there's snow again before I can go out and inspect, I think that's something we could try to arrange.
Can I say something?
No. Can I have the floor here for a minute?
Hold on one second.
Right.
Any other commissioners want to comment on? It sounds like a proposal here to wait until the inspection of the site without snow before lifting the cease and correct. Any commissioner have a feeling otherwise?
Commissioner Grenwalch, I would lift the order now. That would be my feeling. I think the owner has gone out and shown good faith and removed, if not 100%, 90% of it. And we're talking about something that probably should have been taken off the records 8 years ago. It wasn't. It kind of, fell through a crack and nobody did anything about it. And I think that he's gone and done what you've asked him to do. And I don't think the idea of worrying about whether there's a little bit left there when the snow is taken up, I think that's my personal opinion, but that's up to everybody else what they want to do.
Anybody else to chime in?
Commissioner Sullivan, I concur with Commissioner Grenwalch.
So let me express the motion then that the let's see, cease and correct 110801 54 and 60 North Main Street be lifted immediately. Is there a second?
Whose motion is that?
Mine.
Oh,
Peter,
I'll make a second. I'll second it.
We'll take a vote. Commissioner Sullivan.
Commissioner Sullivan, aye.
Commissioner Rose.
No.
Commissioner Boda.
Aye.
Commissioner Grenwalch.
Aye.
Commissioner Begeman.
Aye.
Okay, got everybody. Commissioner Bassett and I. Motion carries. The cease and correct flip.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Abby, can you I think I missed one of the votes. Can you just tell me the totals real quick on the vote count?
5, Abbey York Inland Wetland Associate, 5 aye, 1 no.
Okay.
Anything else, folks?
Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Thank you for joining us.
Happy New Year.
Appreciate the work, Mr. Brazil.
Thank you so much. And I want to send out my appreciation. I know that it's a busy time of the year, and I appreciate you having this special meeting for me. I know everybody's pretty busy. So thank you very much. Anything I can do to help out in the future, please just let me know. I'm glad to do it.
Good night.
Stay healthy, everyone.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Motion to
Good
anyone
night.
gonna motion to adjourn?
Oh,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second that.
all right. Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Aye.
Good night, all.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.